Welcome to part 2 of my long-term test review on the 2020 Mazda 6 Top Trim Signature. That's a lot of words to start off with. This isn't going to be a very long video, it's just more of an update on life with the Mazda 6. So as of the beginning of this video, I've done 3,648.7 kilometers, and my fuel consumption is an even 10.0 liters per 100 kilometers. The majority of my driving has been in the city with a few country drives and a little bit of highway driving. Let's start up with the seats. They get a lot more comfortable the more you're in them. And I know it might be a weird thing to say, you know, kind of like your favorite armchair or whatnot, but as auto journalists, we're one of the first ones to get into the vehicles. So they're not fully broken in, and some of the seats may be stiff and rigid or whatnot. But after, it's been 2 months. 2 months and 1 day I've had this vehicle for. The seats have really become tremendously comfortable, and it's great. It's a great place to spend time. And yes, there hasn't been a lot of traffic, but on some of the longer drives I've been on, there hasn't really been any driver fatigue. So full marks to the seats, definite perk there. A bit of a quirk and a bit of an irk for me are the ventilated / cooled seats, whatever you want to call them. So it's 3 stages, and it comes in the Top Trim Signature. And if you just hit the button and put them on, you hear the fan behind you. It's a pretty audible fan, but there's really not that much cooling action happening. So what you have to do is actually put the air conditioning on, even if it's on the fan level 1, as long as that little AC light shows up, then the cooled seats really kick in and are much more impactful as opposed to just touching the 3 buttons. My irk with that is sometimes I don't want the air conditioning. Sometimes I want the cool breeze or the warm breeze or the breeze from the outside world in the car, but I still want my seat to be ventilated. So I wish that there was a bit of a stronger connection between those two. As far as the driving dynamics go, again, it's been more than 3,500 kilometers, sorry, more than 3,600 kilometers. And I am not bored with this vehicle at all. I think that after 2 months and 1 day and over 3,600 kilometers, the Mazda 6 still impresses me every time I get into it. I knew it was a great car going in. I've had the 2018 version, and I've had this, like I said, for a couple of months. But it's so well planted, and it's so responsive. Again, very little oversteer, very little understeer, and it's such a well-engineered car. And I think what Mazda does better than almost every other non-premium brand is specialize in very high driving dynamics, and it shows every time. You know, whether I'm going to the gas station or whether I'm going on a 2-hour-long drive, the Mazda 6 does very well. Couple of things I've noticed with the infotainment system. There's the odd time it lags, and I think that can be said for nearly any infotainment system. And I haven't quite, figured out the science behind it. It's not like it's one every 10 times I get in the car, or 20 or 30 or whatever it is. Just sometimes I'll start the car up and the infotainment will come to life, but like it'll be frozen on a certain radio station for 5, 6, 7 seconds, and then everything comes through, and I can maneuver throughout it, whether it's again the radio station, Sirius XM, or the navigation. So it's not really an irk, right? It's just it's technology. You know, there's no flawless technology. Even the luxury brands have some issues with their infotainment and electronics from time to time. But just something that I've noticed, it's just it can be a little on the lagging side sporadically. You know, I think that's the most accurate way that I can actually put it. As far as what I've put in the vehicle, because without premium gas, it's 227 horsepower, and with premium gas, it's 250 horsepower. So I've mixed it up. Every other tank has been, premium gas, and I've noticed a difference. You know, you put the good stuff in, and the Mazda 6 responds just a little bit better than it did as opposed to the 87 octane. And I'll keep bouncing back and forth just to kind of get a good representation of what it's like versus what it's not like. And I didn't want to put the first 4 tanks in of regular gas, and then the next 4 being premium, because I don't know when the car is going back, because I don't know when Mazda Canada is opening, and I don't even know if Mazda Canada knows when Mazda Canada is opening. Another thing I do like, it's the looks, because it's so subtle and it's so very elegantly put together. And, laugh all you want, for me calling a Mazda 6 an elegant looking vehicle, but I think it is. Just what really grabs me every time are those nice oversized front wheel arches. They're just so elegantly made and designed, and it's like a sleeper car, for beauty of design. No big creases in the sheet metal. It's not dull. It's not exciting. It's very, like I said, it's very elegant. It's very, it's very attractive to me. And not everything has to be big and flashy and full of this and full of that. So here's my controversial thing, and I'm sure I'm going to get a ton of comments on this, but here's my take on it. After spending 2 months with the Mazda 6, excuse me, I don't know if I'd go for a CX-30, a CX-3, a CX-5. This has met and exceeded all of my needs for a vehicle. Me personally, I like being lower down on the ground. Just gives me that stronger connection with the vehicle as opposed to being higher up. And yes, I know I'm losing some cargo space by height as opposed to depth. But, how many of you really need an SUV for its cargo space? Yes, I know there's families out there, and there's people that, hey, I do this, I do that. I really need to have the 14, 15, 1,600 liters of cargo space. And, that's fine and all. Now, for my specific lifestyle, I don't have kids, I'm in a band. Who knows when we're going to play next? I think it's going to be 2021 at least before live music comes back. The one thing I do miss, and that I have had in every other vehicle of mine, is a rear wiper, and you can't really get that on sedans. But aside from that, it's comfortable, it's quick, it's responsive, it's agile, it's still easy to park. But why is it that you're buying an SUV over a sedan, right? Maybe it's the ride height, maybe it's the cargo space. For the most part, they're pretty similarly priced. Like a top trim Mazda 6 Signature rings the bell at around $40,000, but so does the CX-5 Signature. And for me, I'd take the 6 over the CX-5. Personally speaking, my lifestyle, my needs, I don't put things in the vehicle often, but when I do, they all fit. And it's a few guitars, a couple of amps, a drum set, and it all fits, whether it's in the trunk or the back seat, combination of both, or the front seat. And I'd love to know in the comments why, if you have an SUV, crossover, CUV, why did you pick that? Was it function? Was it price? Was it you liked the way it looked? You liked the way it drove? I'm curious, just let me know. I don't care about the cargo space as much. I care about driving, fuel, and dynamics, and having driven the CX-5 in late February, early March, I like the way the 6 drives. It feels more planted, and it just gives me more, not quite excitement, but I've got a better feel behind the wheel with the 6. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're all well and safe and healthy. We are all in this together. Let's hope that we see the other side of this global pandemic sooner than later. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be back sooner than later with my next car review.